The Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge was established in 2001 as a result of a binational efforts from politicians, leaders, and local communities to build a sustainable future for the Detroit River. And because of that, it is now one of the first of its kind here in North America. I did not know it, but I have been to that area so many countless times. And to talk more, Todd Weston with us here. He is a park ranger for the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. Thank you so much for being with us, and my apologies for running a little bit late.
Oh, that's perfectly all right. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
So many people would know this area, but they don't recognize it as this area. So tell us more about the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. Like, we enjoy the beauty, but we don't know where we are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it does, actually. I've had this conversation recently, and talking about how to change that, help people know who we are. The Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge, its main location is down in Trenton, off West Jefferson. It's got a new visitor center there that's going to be opening very soon, 2 different hiking trails, and a 750-foot fishing pier. So that's where you can come most easily to see as much of our property as you can. We're not just right there, though. We're actually all up and down the Detroit River with a whole bunch of property that's there just for wildlife's sake. And by having that land there for those migratory birds, then when we're at any other park, we may get to see those birds that used some of our refuges. So we're not just down in Trenton, we're all up and down the river. And yeah, the easiest way is if you see a blue goose, or I don't know how easy it is to see the Fish and Wildlife Service symbol. It lets you know whose land you're on. But there's so many great people who have amazing properties to go hike and explore. It's kind of like when you go in, check for that sign, see who it is, and maybe you're on Forest Service land. You never know.
For so many of us, though, we tend to take our surroundings for granted. Why is it important for us to support organizations such as yours?
Oh, well, thank you. We're here for you, to help you have those experiences outside that are enriching. And really, nature helps you be healthy. And we really want to encourage people to understand that nature is everywhere and that you are a part of it. And by supporting any of the different agencies that help protect nature, you help give people a chance to get out and have those meaningful healing opportunities that they otherwise maybe wouldn't have.
Todd Weston with us here on the MegaCast. He is the park ranger for the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. And with that, Todd, have you seen an increase in visitors during the pandemic or a decrease?
Well, we have down at our site been going through some construction, so we haven't been able to be completely open the whole time. But once we did get our grounds open 4 days a week, we're full. People are there. People want to be out. They're recreating. Even in the winter, people were out all the time. I was here last Saturday, and it's pretty much full. People love it, and they love the opportunity to get out and see the area.
And the weather's been beautiful. Fingers crossed we don't see any more snow, and we move into springtime with blooming flowers and bright sunshine. So what are the areas and what can they experience if someone wants to make the trip for the first time?
Sure. Our 2 trails are set up really well. We've got our Orange Trail right around the Humbug Marsh unit. Humbug Marsh is probably our most famous unit. And the Orange Trail is set up really well for people who it's your first time out in nature. It's easy to walk on surfaces. It's all accessible for wheelchairs and strollers. You can bring the whole family. We allow dogs, which isn't necessarily normal for wildlife refuges. So really, you can bring your whole family. And that trail is there for that beginning user of nature. It's an easy little hike around. You see the river, you see some ponds. And then we also have a longer trail that goes deeper into the woods, and that's going to be for more your experienced hiker. It's not necessarily difficult, but it is a thinner road. It's not like you wouldn't be able to bring a stroller on it, kind of idea. And then our big draw for a lot of people is the fishing pier. it's walleye season's coming up, and we are ready to go. That 750-foot pier will be packed to as much capacity as we can have and keep it safe.
So for so many people, when they think of the Detroit River, not always the most pristine environment comes to mind. What has been the effort to clean up the riverway?
Sure. Specifically on our site, we spent years cleaning up the land that was once part of a Chrysler plant. And through really no fault, it's just the way things happened over time. Some of the land, like you said, does have a lot of industrial contamination and things like that. So we spend a lot of time working with experts. Some of it is to dig it up and move it. Some of it's to bury it as far as the land goes. And some of it's to leave it alone, that if you're not digging it up, it's not disturbing anything. And so mitigation and education for the public about like, why don't dig here? Like, please don't dig here because it helps spread things downriver if you do. It's definitely a big task with a lot of people involved.
So what's it been like, because as we said, you're international, what's it been like to try to navigate this world in two separate countries? I mean, two different counties, two different cities can be challenging. We're talking two different countries here.
And we are in two different counties as well. So yeah, no, I understand that. It is kind of on hold in some ways, unfortunately. Some of our bigger groups that work with the international side of our world are people working out in the river and lake with fisheries, with our lake sturgeon, and trying to get those populations up and running. And those things just unfortunately have not been able to be happening during COVID. But the international birds, the international fish, it's a big part of our job. It's kind of the big separation between Fish and Wildlife Service and maybe your state DNR, is that we're going to be international. So, and even down into Mexico with the hawk migration that is internationally famous for this area as well. It's a lot of partnerships and a lot of conversations, but hopefully I heard we're trying to get things back going again because the sturgeon are still there and we still want to be working with our partners across the river.
Todd Weston with us here on the MegaCast. He's the park ranger for the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. And one thing we've all learned during COVID, we are all connected. My breath impacts your breath, you impact me, and it's a global pandemic. Do you think that sense of awareness could help your organization down the road?
I think that's a really great way to look at it, and how this moment has given us that opportunity to see how we connect together. I've worked places where there's a drought and everyone understands because there's a drought, but not everywhere in the country has that sort of unifying geographic feature. And that's a really good point, that this is that for everyone, and it shows us how we're all connected. And I mean, I hadn't thought of it, but I'll use it. I will take that moving forward. Absolutely.
Go ahead, you can use it.
Okay.
But it really has, like, we're starting to look at the world different. We're starting to look at the person across from us differently now. And we know that we all impact one another. And that brings us together in our riverways and our nature. We've come to appreciate that and enjoy it so much more because of the pandemic and because of this global crisis. And with that, what is your long-term goal?
Sure. The Refuge, we are all about partnerships. So our long-term goal, as far as I speak specifically from the visitor services side of things, we want programming every day at the Refuge. We want partners to come out and participate on our lands. We want to be out participating on their lands. Everything is slower right now, but things are also picking up. So we've had a few public programming opportunities. We're about to have more public programming opportunities at the Refuge, so stay tuned if you follow us on Facebook. We're hopefully going to be able to start announcing some hikes and guided opportunities by me and our other park ranger. And if you're interested, if you're someone who works in our area to help promote wildlife and the natural area of the Detroit River, we want to partner with you. It takes a community, and we're here to be a hub for that community.
I love that. Todd Weston with us here on the MegaCast. He's the park ranger for the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. And with that, Todd, anything maybe I didn't ask that you want to share before we say goodbye?
I don't know. I think you did a really great job of covering, just looking at some of the notes. Yeah, we're just really happy to be here, and we're really happy to be a part of protecting your local natural resources and then helping you get out and enjoy this beautiful area, both up in Detroit and downriver.
We love that we have people in our community that are so compassionate about our nature and the land that we live in, such as yourself and your team. So thank you again for all the work that you're doing as well.
Thank you. No, we really appreciate people reaching out to help spread the word about all the cool stuff nature has to offer in our area.
I'm going to follow you on Facebook right now.
Awesome.
Todd Weston, Park Ranger, Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. If you don't follow them on social media, please do so now. And if you live in that downriver area, support them, support all of their work, because we are all connected one way or another.